were again, and I wonder how everyone was getting on at Hermina's birthday party shortly after the Jersey Witch had just arrived. As they tucked into their party food, some of the Pooks grumbled quietly about how the Jersey Witch was spoiling Hermione's special occasion. Even some of the visiting Jersey Pooks admitted that she could be quite overbearing and far too self-centered. Several Herm Pooks decided that they should teach Jersey Lil a little lesson. Meanwhile, the Guernsey Witch was doing her best to smooth things over. She involved each of the witches in conversation and tried to ensure that Hermina was the centre of attention. Of course, Lil bustled about in her usual domineering fashion, and Dame Anthea still tried to organise everybody and everything, but all the other witches all focused upon Hermina, who smiled happily, enjoying the good company of so many of her friends. A small group of the Herm Common Pooks slipped away from the celebrations and made their way northwards towards the Common. However, they did not realise that they were being watched, nor that they were taking note. A small Jersey chiff-chaff flitted through the gorse, following the whispering Pooks. When the Pooks reached their burrows, they stopped to make their plan without realising that their every word was being heard and noted. Shortly afterwards, the little bird flew away, low and silent, through the gorse, across the bracken and over several fields, back towards the birthday party. When the chiff-chaff reached a tree near the Jersey Witch, it alighted upon an adjoining twig and seemed to twitter quietly into Lil's left ear. Suddenly, Lil jumped up and screeched, "How dare they even dream of tying my shoelaces together whilst I'm eating? I might fall over and look very silly in front of all these guests." With that, she stormed away from the table, knocking over plates and glasses as she swept towards her waiting broomstick. She stood upon the broomstick, which then obediently hovered head high to a Guernsey cow, so that all present could clearly see the Jersey Witch. "I command all Herm Pooks to stand before me now." She barked so loudly that many of those observing nearly choked upon the party food that they still had in their mouths. There followed a rustling and busting as many Pooks shuffled forwards warily towards the angry witch. A few older and wiser Pooks grabbed their friends and relatives and slipped away into the surrounding undergrowth before disappearing quickly into any nearby Pook burrows. The Jersey Witch stared fiercely at those Pooks who remained with a withering look and a wave of her wand, she witted a spell as their arms sliced through the air, splitting the Pooks, still present, into two groups. The remaining Herm Pooks in one group and all the other visiting Pooks in another. The remaining Herm Pooks stood shivering with fear and looking downwards, each far too frightened to make eye contact with a fierce witch. Would you want to make eye contact with that witch? Or I'd be a bit too scared, I think. The other Channel Island witches glanced over at each other, hoping that someone would intervene to prevent whatever disaster might be about to befall the hapless Herm Pooks. However, before anyone else could react, the Jersey Witch shrieked another spell and a huge black cloud appeared overhead. Herm descended rapidly into darkness before a bright flash of lightning followed a clap of thunder, so powerful that the hill split away from Jesu and all present fell trembling to the shaking ground. The Jersey Witch shrieked another spell, a bright flash of lightning was followed by a clap of thunder. Slowly the cloud passed and the light returned. Those present now saw that any of the Herm Pooks who had remained above the ground had been turned into rabbits. Ah, do you remember there was loads of rabbits wandering around Herm in the summer's evening? Now you know why. At first they hopped around there hither and thither, wide-eyed and long-eared and very, very scared. They then scampered into whichever nearby Pook burrow they could reach. That is why, if you go to Herm's Day, you might see many rabbits, but only very rarely might you see a real pook. Clever pooks only appear as themselves at twilight and always try to avoid witches and adult humans, although they will occasionally befriend a child who they know will not harm them. "Now," said Lil, as if so calmly as if nothing had happened, "where is my party food?" That silly Jersey little Lil. I wonder what party she might disturb next. Maybe it will be yours. We'll have to wait and see, won't we? Thanks for joining me there, and I hope you enjoyed that story as much as I did. Cheery for now though, eh?